Welcome back, you guys. Tonight we're going to be working on a Canik's TP9sa, and I think a lot of you have been waiting for something like this to come out. I know I've been contacted from several of you guys about, are we working on the Caniks? What is there a deal while we're not working on them? Can you give me a little bit of background story on that? And really what it's been is that the CZ Glocks and M&Ps have been so time consuming in my evenings and weekends that I really haven't had enough time to really think about venturing out into the market of a different model and start working on some of that stuff. Now, I know there's a lot of you guys out there that want to have the work done. I know there's several companies out there already doing the work, but I also know that there's a lot of you guys that happen to follow me because I don't really follow the mainstream of like how slides are cut. Like I have my own style, I have my own version, I have my own technique. And sometimes, you know, that's not necessarily the best thing on the market, but it's definitely something that's different on the market. And I try to offer something that's unique to the market. I don't want to be a copycat and or a clone of all these other companies. I want you to know who I am because I'm doing something unique. So with that being said, there is a reason why I'm not showing you the other side, and that's because this is a fix-it build. So yeah, so basically somebody contacted me and said, hey, can you fix this? And under normal circumstances, I probably wouldn't have taken this in because I just don't have the time to gain the knowledge on these slides. You know, the thickness, the diameters, everything that comes into play when you start talking about cutting new slides that you haven't done before. That's a time-consuming process, and that's not something that you can necessarily charge your customer just because you haven't done one before. So sometimes that's a cost thing that I have to eat on my end. It may take me 2 or 3 or 4 times longer to turn the work out because I just don't know about the product itself. With that being said, I decided to take this on. It seemed to be a unique project. I thought it was one of those deals where, yeah, let's just see what we can kind of come up with. Now, let me give you the quick rundown of exactly what's going on here. So basically, I'm going to use my Sharpie here. So basically, we've got about a 1/2 inch distance from here to here, okay? So we have a lot of room left for the lockup. So if you look, and I will attach some pictures here. We end up having about a 1/2 inch from there. I can get you onto the right light from about there to there. So there's not a significant issue that we're going to run into here. I think that we're going to be pretty safe. We're going to still be playing it in that safe zone. The idea for me is that I don't necessarily just want to fix the hole, which that's a 3/8 hole, by the way. I mic'd it out. Comes out being about 0.39 something ish. So it's a little over a 3/8 hole, and it's rough. I mean, it's not cut in at an angle. I mean, or I should say it's not cut in straight. It's cut in at an angle. We fit different angles here. So we hit this bevel here on this edge. We hit this here on this edge. I mean, it's a rough hole. Okay, it's not like it's in the center or the top, like right here, that we could just do a window. It's in a very tough place because we've got to figure out a pattern that's going to match on the side. We also have to figure out a pattern that's going to come up over and match on the top without structurally taking out too much material to cause a problem. So one of the things that I believe is the right way to approach this is to come down like this and then back up. Once again, I've told you guys before, don't you guys judge me on my drawing skills. They pretty much suck. I'm a little bit better at CNC and I'm significantly better at laser. So just leave me alone when it comes to my Sharpie. So the idea is to come down here, come up like this, come up like that, okay? Make something kind of nice. And then on the top, it'll end up coming straight up, over and up. So we're gonna end up getting a straight wall on the edge. My main concern is that since this was cut in at an angle this way, we have somewhat of a round, if we can see in here, we have somewhat of a round cut on what would be the top wall. Okay, so we're not gonna be able to just come straight down on it and have it squared through here because it's actually cut at an angle this way. So I'm not 100% sure what and or how that's going to come out. I do know for a fact that I'm not going to continuously cut and cut and cut and cut until we get a square wall, because what will happen is we'll probably end up hitting the top. That's just something that we're not going to do. So at the end of the day, we may end up having a nice design on the side. We may end up having somewhat of a squared top up here, but we're probably going to have some curvature left over from where that drill bit went down through there, and there's just unfortunately nothing I can do about that. So one of the other things we're going to do is come over, okay, something along that line. Of course, this will be all removed up here on the top. So we're gonna have some small windows on there. We're gonna have some smaller windows, and we're gonna have one here, and then of course this side will match. So the real image would be something like this, and then this would all be cut out, and then over here would be like this. So, something along that line. Once again, stop judging me based off of my drawing skills. I know what you're doing right now. You're just laughing. It's fine. It's whatever. I don't care. Guys, let's get you over to the Tormach CNC. Let's fix this thing. Let's bring it back. Let's see exactly how we salvaged it. All right, guys, let's take a look and see exactly how this came out in the end. I'm very pleased with the overall design, considering this was a somewhat of a lower end budget. I mean, obviously nobody wants to spend a lot of money on hopefully salvaging a slide, right? So they've always got that budget that they want to work with in order to get it back to somewhat of a presentable image. So I think we did pretty good with what we had to work with. I'm pretty happy overall. So we're going to be able to see some nice barrel through there, right? Nice proportional cuts on each side. And then of course on this side is where we had the drill hole. And once again, as I said at the beginning of the video, since it was done at an angle, I had a feeling that we were going to still see part of that curvature or a little bit of that radius cut. We definitely could. What I didn't want to do is just continuously go deeper and deeper and deeper here until it went away, because then we would be almost up on the top rib, and I thought, no, we're going to have to just call it quits at some point in time and deal with what we have. But overall, I'm very pleased with the way that it came out. I don't think it looks anywhere near as bad as it did before we started. Obviously, go back and take a look at the first beginning part as we discussed that a little bit. And of course, I'll add a couple pictures here towards the end of this video to kind of do a comparison between where we started to where we finished. All right, guys, well, hopefully you enjoyed that content. Hopefully it was something new that you have not seen before, something new to the market and new to the channel. So, you know, I'm always encouraging people to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and of course, stand by on YouTube, because we're always putting new content out all the time. Usually it's something new to the market, something that maybe some of the other businesses just aren't offering or aren't catering. And, you know, we're trying to just kind of design some new stuff that everybody else isn't doing. So with that being said, you guys have probably seen this build before, but maybe not to this extreme. So let me just kind of step back for a minute here, give you guys just the overview and the kind of the past, and catch you guys up to where we are. So we did a build video on this. This is a person that was local to me, and they had a specific design that they wanted. Now, once again, we did a complete build video on this. So at the end of this video, I'll tag a link to it. So if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Again, it gives you the mindset a little bit more of what we're going for and what we're kind of looking to achieve. We ended up having a local gun show here, which was in Raleigh, North Carolina, at the beginning of May, and this individual and I finally had the opportunity to meet. Even though we were so close to each other, we have very busy schedules, so we were not able to meet each other until we actually had a gun show come up that was local to both of us. So he came by and said, hey, I'm interested in getting some more work done. What do you think? And I said, well, what do you want to have done? So one of the things that we didn't do in the build video was the Cobra nose. So this is a new Cobra nose that we're offering. We do have people that reach out to us that just want a Cobra nose and nothing else. So we ended up running a Cobra nose and we Cerakote their gun, and it's the end of story, end of day. That's kind of what they want. Now, that's not the only thing that this individual was after. He was also after having the rear section done as well. Now, the difference between our rear section and what's offered here and what everybody else does on the market is that we do not straighten the existing serrations that come from Smith & Wesson on the M&P slides themselves. What we do is we actually remove material, which helps with weight reduction, and this ends up giving you more of a grip position on the slide itself, because what ends up happening is, what my opinion here is, and overall this is kind of where my mindset is that when you take your hand and you put it onto a slide, whether that's a Glock or an M&P, your hand itself, the skin on your hand is only going to cover a certain amount of area, okay? So like on a Glock, there's serrations on there, right? So what happens is you're covering the high side. You're not actually ever touching the low side because your hand can't actually get into the low side. So the actual amount of dispersion of your finger over the actual slide is always the same. That never changes, right? So the same thing you get with the M&P style slides is that there's some wavy serrations on the back that are very aggressive, but when you put your hand in there and you grip them, your hand doesn't actually get down into the grooves at all, because your skin and your hand doesn't have the ability to actually conform to that shape. So therefore, it's a great design. However, I was looking to improve, also looking for that weight reduction, and that's kind of what we have here. So we ended up going with a series of carefully placed serrations that kind of step over each other, so to speak. So we have a specific distance that we go from one line to the next, to the next, to the next, and it's a repeating pattern. So to kind of show you a little bit of how aggressive this is, if we kind of just squeeze this in, you're going to see my thumbnail turn white here a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip my hand over. That's how much actual surface area we're reaching. Okay, so we'll do that again real quick. Matter of fact, I'll use my other hand because there's nothing on this one. So we'll squeeze this in a little bit and you're gonna see my thumbnail turn white, and then of course we're gonna flip it over real quick, and that's exactly how much, if we can get you over here, that's how much is actually being covered. So your hand is actually covering a larger area. Not that necessarily means that your thumb is larger, it just happens to be that you're actually catching more surface space with the way it's designed. Now, one of the other advantages to this design overall is that there's what I call like a hook or a bell here towards the end. Now, this is an interesting build right here because usually they don't come with this, what would be this kind of your charging handle, your racking handle here. They usually don't come with that. That's obviously an aftermarket upgraded piece. Usually it just comes with a flat cap and in the back of it's just smooth, there's nothing there. So the way my design works is that it actually has a hook on the end. It is kind of hard to see because we have some extra hardware here, but you can kind of see it here. So as you end up gripping this, whether you're going like this or however you want to do it, you know, some people go this way. The idea is that this is a stopper on the end, okay? So it's essentially you putting your hand inside of what would be a C and it's stopping before it actually comes off the weapon. So it's kind of like a two-way. If you happen to have a lot of grip strength, you'll probably never use that. If you don't happen to have a lot of grip strength, you can always slide back. If you end up failing back all the way to the very end, you still have that hook to grab onto as far as cycling the weapon. It's just one of those extra little things I thought if we're going to do it, let's do it right. So that's exactly what we did. So guys, once again, I would encourage you to follow us over on Instagram. A couple pictures of this have been posted before this video came out, and also follow us on Facebook. We have a lot of cool things over there. If you don't do Instagram, that's okay. Do Facebook. A lot of times whenever we post something on Instagram, it ends up getting transitioned over to Facebook anyhow. And one of the last things I want to tell you is that over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to start transitioning our videos onto the web page, and they'll be on the web page a day early. So if you end up going to NCEngravers.com, you'll actually be able to go to the video gallery, and you'll actually be able to watch the videos one day before they actually go to YouTube. The reason why is I'm encouraging individuals to go to the web page and watch them, and not necessarily go to YouTube and watch them. And I know you're probably thinking of like, why? What's the advantage? Well, first and foremost, I don't do any advertising on YouTube. Okay, so I did it for a little while and I thought it was a bad idea, and at the end of the day, it is a bad idea. My customers don't need to sit through and click off on the little stupid, you know, pop-up boxes and things like that. For me, there's not a whole lot of money that would end up being generated through that process anyhow, so let's just not make it an annoyance to you in order for me to get a couple dollars. That's just kind of stupid. So that's one of the reasons why I would encourage you to go to the webpage, because it won't be hosted through YouTube. We won't see those ads and things like that. And the second reason is, if anything was to happen to me on the YouTube front, as far as, you know, how my stuff gets posted, you guys will still know how to get a hold of me. So you won't end up losing, you know, in touch with me or falling out of touch with me altogether. So you'll be able to actually stay kind of informed of what's going on as well. So one of the other things I noticed as I was kind of messing around with this here is that we also matched the base plate for the mag. So this I don't think we discussed that already. So that was one of the things that was a request as well. We did not do that in the first video. When we did the slide, we didn't match that as well. Guys, I'm working behind the camera. There's only so much zoom I can get between here and the table, so it ends up being kind of close, and we don't get to see everything as maybe we should. The other deal is that this is my barrel. Okay, so this is not the customer's barrel. That's one of my knurled barrels. That's a factory barrel, so it's not an aftermarket. It's a polished knurled barrel. We offer that as a service as well. Reach out to us. Let us know what you need. We have a contacts tab. Go to the contacts tab. Fill it out. Let us know what's going on, what your project is. It's, you know, it can be big or small. I get people that reach out to me and say, I just need something polished. I get other people that reach out to me and say, hey, I've got a crazy idea and I want to build it. So it doesn't have to be something that is really advanced in order for me to take the project on. It just has to be something that's logical, and we can fit it, you know, into my time frame, and it works for your budget. So that's just kind of how it works with me. But guys, if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out to me. Have a good one.